know what the aquifer is going to do for us. Throughout the 2016 to 2018 review of the Area F official community plan, it was certainly identified as an issue that needed to be addressed, but we didn't have really strong policies in the OCP that can help us address the issues that we're still having with this increased interest in development. Just like every other place in the Okanagan, we're now getting requests for subdivision in the Falder area that we haven't had before. And then to complicate matters, we've got the Falder area that is within a water system that we own, and then we have the Meadow Valley Aquifer and interest in development outside of the water system. So we have two different issues that we have to address, both the community water system and then those properties outside all draw from the Meadow Valley Aquifer. So we really need to know what's going on with the aquifer before we can determine how we're going to address these development requests in the future. So, and we've had some lately, which has brought the spotlight onto that Falder system. So what we're proposing to do is we need the additional information. So that's part of the report that you see. We need to do some more aquifer studies. We have some water conservation issues to address. We know that the water system is some of the highest using activities in a water system, but we don't know if that's because of leaks in the system or just because of agriculture or because of the way that people use water. But and on top of that, we have a strange way of billing in that it's a taxation system, a parcel tax, our only system that has that mechanism. So there's a whole bunch of things we need to address, but we have some immediate issues with all of these applications we're getting for subdivision in order to take advantage of the hot market right now. So to do what we need to do right now in order to protect the aquifer, what we're proposing is to make some changes to the official community plan, to put stronger policy statements in it, in that we're going to curtail development in that area right now until we get this different information. And then the second is to put some stronger language into the zoning bylaw that actually will help us decide whether a developer or a subdivision should go ahead. So really the activity for this time, Mr. Chair, is that sorry, I have to find my other paper here. I'm not sitting at my traditional desk in the office, so I'm shuffling papers between my knees, trying to find out which one I'm on. So what we're proposing is that the minimum parcel requirement for a subdivision be increased from 2 hectares to 5 hectares. And there aren't that many parcels in the Falder area that would then be meet the requirements for a subdivision. So we're proposing that. We are proposing that agriculture be excluded as a permitted use in this zone. We're proposing that we call it a small holding 7 zone until we can get other identities straightened out. And then we're proposing that the accessory dwellings and suites be removed as permitted uses as well. So those 3 activities in the zoning bylaw, the main changes: 1, remove agriculture; 2, make the minimum parcel size requirement 5 hectares instead of 2 hectares, and then remove accessory dwellings and suites as permitted uses as well. The other problem we have there right now is we have an inconsistency between the subdivision bylaw and the water regulatory bylaw, in that one requires people in the Falder water system that are adjacent to infrastructure to hook into it, whereas the subdivision bylaw doesn't require that. So we need to correct those inconsistencies between those two bylaws as well. So we're proposing to do that. So that then is the basis for the recommendation, Mr. Chair, is that we make these changes to the OCP, make the changes to the zoning bylaw, and then bring some consistency between the subdivision bylaw and the water regulatory bylaw. So we throw that out for discussion, and then we'd like to move it forward to the board if these seem appropriate to do the official changes.
Thank you very much, CAO Newell. I do have one question before we start. Did we hear back from anyone on the referrals list, Agriculture Ministry of Agriculture, pardon me, or the Agricultural Land Commission on this?
We'll send that over to Mr. Garish, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Director Robinson, please?
Yeah, just a quick question. So what happens to someone who's already living in Falder? Do they get grandfathered in if they don't meet these new requirements?
CAO Newell, did you?
Yeah, any change to a bylaw always includes grandfathering. Yeah.
I can't see the board, Director Pendergraft. Can you tell me if there's any questions there? You're muted. You're muted, Director Pendergraft.
Can't hear the chair.
No, can't hear.
I'll pass you and let that problem get sorted out. Director Gettens, please.
Thank you. Is there a presentation from Mr. Garrett? I'm sorry, my audio kept dropping out as well, so I didn't hear everything that the CAO said, but is there something from Chris coming forward?
CAO Newell?
We'd have to check with Mr. Garish, Mr. Chair. I didn't have a chance to consult with him if he had a presentation or not.
Director Pendergraft?
Yes, Director Monteith had a question here for you.
Thank you.
To the chair, what's going to happen? Sorry, what's going to happen with the current applications? You mentioned there were some subdivision applications, and I guess wanting to know if anybody's applied for a secondary dwelling, and if they would, because they've already applied, would they proceed through the process under the old rules, or are we changing in midstream?
CAO Newell, do we want to call Chris, Mr. Garish forward for this?
Sure. But if there is an application in process, then it falls under the current laws. And if it's a new application, it would fall under whatever. Like, don't forget, it's going to take us a while to change the OCP and the zoning bylaws. So at the present time, we're operating under our current legislation.
Director Pendergraft, is Mr. Garish available for to come on to this meeting?
I believe he is available online.
Okay, we're kind of stacking some questions up for him. In the meantime, anyone else have any questions? Director Gettens, please.
Yeah, thank you to the chair. I do have some comments and questions, but I do just want to wait until if the presentation, again, I apologize, I call in on this and I kept getting hung up on. So I'm not sure if I've missed important information that I might be asking again, CEO, so apologies in advance. But I just wanted confirmation if there's a presentation. If not, then I'll share my comments.
We're asking for Mr. Garish to come forward and see if he has information for us and answers for your questions. In the meantime, any other discussion?
In here.
My apologies, directors. We're having technical difficulties with the attendees. We're working on it right now to be able to bring them in.
In the meantime, any other questions on this issue? not, so I'm going to assume we're on hold until Mr. Garish is available.
I think they're just, Danny's struggling to get him in off the attendees list.
Did he add slideshow or not?
No, I don't think so either.
Well, if he's in the office, Danny, maybe just bring him in.
I'll go get him and he can sit here.
I wonder if he can hear us.
I think your mics are live in the boardroom.
Chris will be in the boardroom here. He's just taken a seat, Chair Knodel.
Thank you, sir.
Ask him your questions.
Director Gettens? Director Gettens, did you want to state your question for?
Oh, sure, thanks. Okay, so there's no presentation is what I'm getting at. Is that correct?
I did have some slides
No?
prepared, but not here. But they're on my desktop and I can't access them.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh,
Lovely. No, it's unmuted.
oh,
Just speak a little closer to the mic, Chris. You're coming through, but not legible.
sure. I'll assume you can hear me, but I did have some slides prepared, but unfortunately they're on my desktop, so I'm not going to be able to access them for the meeting.
Would you be able to give us a
Okay.
synopsis of where you're going with this?
Well, I was able to listen in as the CEO presented, and I mean, he more or less covered most of the points I was going to make in the slides as well. I did hear some questions about what would happen with the changes versus current development proposals, and again, I think the CAO pretty much answered it. If what was submitted complies with the regulations in place at the time of submission, and they're able to complete it before the change to the bylaw occurs, then they're basically grandfathered. For subdivisions, there is the additional 12-month grace period under the legislation. So there is one active subdivision within the Falder Water Service Area that would be affected by these changes. And we're aware at a staff level of at least one property owner who's seeking to do an accessory dwelling. Again, they're working on getting their application in, and if completed in time, they would be grandfathered subject to any changes to the bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Garish. Any other questions from the Director Gettens, please?
Great, thank you. So I do have a few questions, Chair. One of the things I like, we definitely want to move forward with this review, and I think CAO, you touched on this a little bit from what I could pick up when you were speaking. But my concern is moving forward without all the information. And some of the information that I think is important to have is that we know there's 16 parcels that are large enough to subdivide, and so downzoning somebody from be able to subdivide from 2 hectares to 5 hectares. We don't know of those 16 parcels how many can actually subdivide, because Falder's in a bit of a valley. So I think that's an important thing to know, is how many more properties are we looking? Is it doubling to 32 or tripling to 48, or is it going up to 20? So I think that's important information. I think it's important to hear about the study. So I have put a request in with gas tax, and I believe that's coming forward shortly. So I just want to know what that study will find and what it will confirm compared to previous studies. I also don't know the impact of removing agricultural use, and I think that's important, because if somebody is using agriculture as a way of making a living in Falder, I think that's something that's important that we need to discuss as well. And accessory dwellings and speak, I'm not sure about the impact of water on that compared to just having more people live in a single dwelling, but I have heard there are a number of temporary homes, like in RVs and such like that, that are being used as existing dwellings in Falder. So my question is, does it make more sense to wait till we get the information, like from the study, actually know how many properties we're looking at increasing to before initiating this? Because are we initiating without all the information? Thank you.
Director Gettens, are you proposing deferring this until all the information is available?
No, I'm just asking if it makes sense to initiate it now. I don't know the timeline or the time frame, but I feel like we don't have all the information. But is that information going to be coming in time until we get going on this? Like, Sorry, let me say that again. Does it make sense to start it now? And is the information like the study and the actual number of lots going to come in time to help make the decisions? Or is it better to wait until we have that information and then decide what to do next with it?
Mr. Garish, would you care to comment on that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't have any expectations around the aquifer study in terms of what it's going to determine. I know there's a pretty well-established track record of water scarcity in the Falder area, and that there's two issues. The aquifer study would address water quantity, but the issue that I think we're trying to tackle with the zoning bylaw change particularly is the undersized or inadequate infrastructure that exists in relation to the water system itself, which I don't believe the aquifer study is going to change. I mean, certainly the option to defer until the aquifer study is done, but I think we also have a fairly good understanding of water scarcity in the Falder area and an understanding of the issues with the water system itself.
Thank you, Mr. Gill.
As a follow-up, Chair.
Yes, Director Gettens.
Thank you, Chair. I understood that actually our infrastructure wasn't the major concern. The aquifer, the unknown of the aquifer was the bigger concern. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do here. Like, if we initiate this, Chair, do we go out to the public without all the extra information? And I guess now hearing from Mr. Garish that you don't have high expectations for the aquifer study to show us new information, should we be doing that?
Mr. Garish?
No, it's not that I don't have high expectations. I just don't have expectations. I don't know what it's going to find. I mean, I don't know if it's going to come back and say there's ample water or inadequate water. So I'm reserving judgment on it.
Director
Okay.
Gettens,
Yeah, Chair. Yeah, can we just defer this for a couple of weeks until we hear back more about the aquifer study, please? I'll put a motion to defer.
Thank you. Any seconders for that motion? Is there a seconder? Yep. Mr. Trainer, thank you. No further discussion on that. Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Chair Pendergraft, do you see any in the boardroom?
None opposed here.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next issue was a motion to adjourn the meeting. Director Robinson, Director Gettens, seconding. All in favor? Opposed? Unrecorded. Motion carries. I thank you all very much.
Hey, thank you, Director Nodal. We'll move on to environment, and I believe that goes to Chair Gettens. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Pendergraft. So can I call the meeting to order, please? It is 9:26, and if I can get a motion to adopt the agenda. Thank you, Director Bauer, seconded by Director Robinson. All in favor? Any opposed? And just for clarity, boardroom, I can't see anybody in there, so just let me know if somebody's opposed. We've got a delegation for first up. It's from Parks Canada, and I will just refer this over to the CAO. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So the Parks Canada study is ongoing, and I know that we had been informed that there was going to be a committee of some sort set up, which some of our members were being invited to attend. So this is an update from Parks Canada on how that's going along, Madam Chair, and they have a number of new pieces of information to provide. So we could just turn it over to the Parks Canada delegation.
Thank you, CAO. I don't see the delegation online, so Danny, maybe let us know when they're available.
Yeah, we're still having issues with attendees being able to be moved into the meeting.
Thank you. Shall I just stand by then?
For a few minutes, I'm trying to reconnect to the meeting.
Yeah, maybe they can just call in, Danny.
Yeah, we're working on that as well.
To the CAO, should we go to the next item while we work this out, or should we stay in order? The next item is in camera.
Yeah, so if
Does
we
that
go in
make it
camera,
more
we wouldn't,
complicated?
yeah, we wouldn't want to come out and then go back in. So I'm not
Okay.
sure how long it's going to take to get the Parks Canada delegation.
All
But
right.
if it's just a couple of minutes, we should probably just wait for them.
Thank you. Coffee break.
She's going to try calling in.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then certainly if we can't get them, we could go right into the in-camera issue.
Okay, thank you.
No luck.
I think the mics are live in the boardroom still.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's too many problems on the back end. I have to cancel this meeting. It's going to kick everybody out. You can rejoin it once I start it again. That's the only thing we can
Thank you,
comment.
Dan.
There's no way to bring anybody in and out of the meeting right now.
Sure. Okay, did everybody hear that okay? We're all going to leave the meeting and then just rejoin again and see if that helps.
Okay, give
All
me
right,
5
see you
minutes to
soon.
start the meeting.
Okay, take 5 minutes. Thanks, Danny.
I'm going to
Do we have audio?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Bob, you're becoming a movie star. I see you on TV quite a bit lately.
Isn't that wonderful, eh? I'd really like it if they didn't just put little 3-word snippets of the conversation in when they do these things.
Yes, they kind of snip out the parts that don't highlight everything.
Good.
You're doing good, though. I mean,
They come with an agenda and they just fit your words into what they want.
it's that's the media today, but you're still doing good.
Thank you.
You come across quite well here.
So Danny, how are we looking?
I think we lost completely.
No, we're here. There are people coming in, slowly just getting the YouTube feed up and running and the recording going again.
So I should be okay here now?
I did hear your comments about the spring, Bob. Could be interesting there too.
So Chair Pendergraft, can you let me know when we're good to go, please?
Will do. Do we have Parks Canada on? We'll find out. I believe they're on now, right, Chair Gettins. You could see if they
Okay.
can hear you.
Fantastic. Oh, I do see Sarah Royal. Sarah, can you hear me okay?
I'm going to attempt to call in. I got to get out of this chat here.
Sarah or Megan, if you can hear me, let me know, please.
Oh, hi there. I can hear you, but Sarah will be doing the presenting, so I'll wait until she can talk as well.
Thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
Good
there you are.
morning.
Sarah, welcome.
Hello.
If you're ready, we will just pass it over to you for the presentation.
Okay, great. I did send, there isn't any visuals associated with my presentation, but I believe that I provided to Haley ahead of time just a copy of the update letter that was sent out in August, just as a part of your meeting package. So I will be referencing that. And it's nice to see some familiar faces and some new ones. So the proposed agenda, it shouldn't take too long. We've committed, Parks Canada has committed to providing updates as new information becomes available. The last update to the Committee of the Whole was made in, I think, November or October of last year, but we have been working with a subcommittee as well, which I'll go over as well. So for general updates, the Tripartite Steering Committee, who's composed of the Province of British Columbia, Parks Canada, and chiefs of the Lower Similkameen Indian Band, as well as the Osoyoos Indian Band, continue to meet. There's been 4 meetings this year in 2021, and there has been delays due to COVID. And we are trying, we're trying hard to return to in-person meetings some point in the new year. There has been, as you may know, a newly appointed Minister of Environment and Climate Change at the federal level. That is Minister Stephen Gould. And so that always comes with providing new updates to the federal minister to get familiar with the file. Now going on to, are there any questions before I move on to engagement with local governments and reviewing some of the meetings we've had in the past year?
I'm not seeing any. I'll just double check with the boardroom. Dr. Pendergraft.
Right. Well, we can. I'll just
It's here.
continue to. Okay, I'll just continue to go on, and there'll be some time at the end for us to open to questions. So for review of meetings to date this year, there is I don't know if it's an RDOS subcommittee, but regional directors who are who overlap with the proposed the proposed National Park Reserve protected area, the working boundary, we've met 4 times this year, starting in March. There was quite a heavy spring meeting schedule. So we were able to meet in March with RDOS Area A, B, and C directors, as well as the chair and planning manager. In April and we've had 2 meetings in April. We were able to meet with regional municipal leaders and staff and include other RDOS directors who aren't overlapping in the proposed area, but were curious. So that included to know more information. So that included directors from Area E, I, and F. And the Minister of Parliament and MLA also attended that meeting. On April 12th, we were able to have a topic-specific meeting with area directors A and C and have a meeting regarding wildfire service with the Caledon Fire Chief. So that was at the request of having a specific issue-based conversation. And we were able to have a fairly similar meeting with the Oasis executive director as well, along with regional director Area C. And so those were really to address targeted meetings that were held with local experts who really wanted to make sure that Parks Canada is aware of the level of information and knowledge that they have on the land, and that was particularly related to wildfire and invasive species management. And a lot of those were to facilitate introductions and information exchange. So other topics for future meetings, which haven't been held as of yet, include grazing and flood management, flood prevention, and monitoring. And we will be continuing to have, we've all agreed to continue to have, provide updates to local elected leaders a few times a year or when new information is available, because we don't want to belabor the process with too many meetings. The next topic that I'll lead into is the public update letter that was released in August of this year. And so that letter was really helped the meetings with regional directors and local elected civic leaders really helped to inform the content of that update letter. We heard from those directors and elected officials what the concerns of their constituents were, and were making sure that we could relay information to the public based on what we were hearing back from elected officials. In terms of response for the public letter, we tend to get a whole range of responses. We get everything from, why isn't this park here now? We don't want a park, to thanks for the update. So there was a very large range of responses, is what we typically get. And there wasn't any specific additional questions that came from that release with the public update letter. One of the pieces that we did find, and I think we updated this earlier in the year, was that our previous mail out had issues with making sure that it got the appropriate reach within the South Okanagan-Similkameen. And I believe the regional district was also experiencing same issues with mail drops through the Canada Post system. And we were able to discover that some of the postal codes, particularly around anarchist area, were not in the Canada Post system. So we were able to get that corrected. And so we didn't get any feedback this time that any postal codes were missed. And we did share that information with Chris Garish. So hopefully that is helpful to you as well when you're looking to share mail drop information.
I'm just going to interrupt just really quickly. I'm sorry, but we are just getting close to the end of our time here. We do have another item on the agenda. So I'm just going to just let you know that and just see if we can.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm almost done. And just some new information we are currently, that might be of interest to the Regional District Board. We're currently working on using available information for species at risk and wildlife road mortality mapping and to undertaking those exercises. And so when When that information is ready and available, we're happy to share that if there's interest, and we can open the floor to questions or comments.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Thank you, Ms. Bell. So I don't see any questions here on the participants list for those that are dialing in. Chair Pendergraft, are there any in the boardroom?
No hands yet.
Thank you. I do see Director Canola. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Great presentation. Just wondering if there's a follow-up on the study that Lisa's got on invasive species, on how she's making out on that, or do you have any information on that?
We don't have any information on that. We do have a note to contact her in the new year in her less busy season, but I can follow up with you once we hear back from her as well.
At a later date. I'm sure that it's going to be quite a comprehensive study. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. Are there any other questions from the boardroom or for those that are dialed in? No? Seeing that? Thank you very much, Ms. Boyle, and thank you for coming as well. Ms. Boyle, that was great. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
So we're going to go into an in-camera item next. So I will read a recommendation here that in accordance with section 90.1I and 90.2B of the Community Charter, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between a municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or federal government or both, and a third party. So I need to get a motion to be able to go into camera, please. Thank you, Director Robinson, second by Director Lauer. All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Danny, I'll just wait for your okay.
Good? No? You need to.
Bill's back on.
I thought I was supposed to get a new message, but apparently not.
Okay.
I checked the sandbag stuff.
That's
Cool with that.
fine.
Yeah.
Doug isn't available. He's supposed to back up. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, Bob, it's our chance to tell lies about people who aren't around to defend themselves.
So what's going on? I had to take a phone call and the screen just went black. Are we on a break?
You may not be able to see me, but I can hear you.
We are
Well,
directors.
I
We are
got
still
Frank and
live.
I got Rick, and
We're
that's
still live.
it. And
Danny's
the heck's
telling
going
me
on?
you were.
I think we just had to take a break because the board meeting doesn't start till 10:30.
Are you still with us, Riley? Hey, Riley, you still with us? It's not. We're supposed to start getting cold tonight. Is that gonna throw wrenches into your works over there, Bob? You're muted. You're muted, Bob.
Yeah, anybody who hasn't got their houses dried out will be in trouble. Tulameen yesterday reflooded, like
Lost your audio again, Bob.
this ain't a very fun day today, is it?
No.
Okay. All right. If we could, folks, we'll get started. So we'll call the regular board meeting to order. Well, I should say this is our opportunity to remove anything from the consent agenda. Is there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda, please. Moved, seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the consent agenda corporate issues. Motion on that. Thank you. Seconded. Thank you. All those in favor? Great. Thank you. Opposed? Again, motion carries. Down to development services consent agenda. Motion on that, please. Moved, seconded. Thank you, Director Bush. Again, all in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to B1 under development services, Agricultural Land Commission in Area C. I'll go to the CAO, please.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So this is again one of those issues where we have two factors at play. The application is for an oversized house in the agricultural land reserve. And we have this issue where in the zoning bylaw, we have a restriction of 600 square meters for the footprint. And the ALC has a restriction to 500 square meters for floor area. So this application, it actually complies with the regional district requirement, but it does not comply with the ALC requirement. So we are recommending that this not be moved forward to the ALC, Mr. Chair.
To Director Knodel, as this is in your area.
As with other ones where it complies with ours, but not with the ALCs, we've moved them forward to the ALCs. So I'd like to move that we move it forward to the ALC so they can make a decision on whether they want to comply to theirs or ours.
Okay, so that's a motion to move it, to authorize it to go to the ALC.
Yes, sir.
Is there a seconder for that? Okay, thank you. It has been seconded. Discussion? Seeing no hands, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Seeing no hands, motion carries. Takes us to B2, a development variance in Area C, CAO.
Yeah, so this is an application really to retain a mobile home at 1888 Willowbrook Road. Mr. Chair, it's an application for a side yard variance from 4.5 meters to 2.75, and we're recommending this be approved.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Director Knodel again.
Once again, this one's got some contentious issues to it. And as normal, it's a land use item, so I'd like to move it forward to my APC.
Okay, so a motion to go to the APC, a seconder on that. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, I'll call the question. This is a rural vote though, or yeah, it is rural vote, just so everybody's aware. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. B3, official community plan amendment in Area F, CAO.
This is the application for subdivision out by Greg Ranch, Mr. Chair, the 106 unit development that had been proposed. It came on September 23rd and got first and second at the public hearing. Came back to the board on October 21st, and the board defeated it at third reading. So, which is fine. What we have to do now, Mr. Chair, is we have these bylaws, both the OCP and the zoning bylaw, sitting at second reading, and we just have to get rid of them. So the recommendation is that those two bylaws be rescinded and the bylaws abandoned.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Director Gettens.
Thank you, Chair. I'll move the administrative recommendation.
Moved. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you. Director Knodel seconding. Any discussion? Seeing no hands. Again, this is a rural vote. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Down to item B4, a zoning amendment in electoral area D, CAO.
So this is the Sun and Sand development in Okanagan Falls, Mr. Chair. And we received an email from the developer yesterday proposing some significant amendments to their application. So rather than the administrative recommendation that's in your report, I'm going to move that this be, I'm going to propose that the board defer this until we can get further instruction from the developer.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Director Obrick. Are you?
I want to second the CAO's motion.
So I am understanding you are moving to defer?
Yeah, if I can speak to it real briefly, this is very positive. There's been a lot of process, public information meeting, APC, community meetings. The process is working. As the CAO mentioned, there's been communication from the developer to modify what's being proposed. Staff need time. I have a question. And the question is, for staff to get direction, do we need to make a motion to help them proceed? Because the recommendation, of course, is not the way we want to go. The two alternates are not the way we want to go. But do the staff need a motion for direction? And I did speak with Mr. Garish about this. I don't know if there's any advice coming back, but that's my question.
Okay. CAO, can you answer that?
Well, we need to see what the application is first, Mr. Chair. So I would say no, just the motion to defer would be fine. We'll contact the developer. I'll figure out what they want to do and then we'll bring it back.
I say thank you, and I'll make that motion
Okay,
to
you're
postpone.
making the motion to
Yeah.
defer it. Seconder, thank you. No discussion on deferral, so we'll call the question. Again, this is rural vote. All those in favor? Great, thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Down to B5, OCP zoning and bylaw amendments for most of the electoral areas. CAO.
This is the Okanagan Consolidated Zoning Bylaw, Mr. Chair, and this was the sort of the biggest part of it, of the review. This was the residential and small holdings review that the board's seen committee. So we are now ready to bring this back for adoption.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Director Monteith. You want to make it? Okay. Motion is moved. Is there a seconder for that? See, thank you. Any discussion on this? I've got to double check for hands. Seeing none. Again, a rural vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. B6. Nothing there. Nothing was removed. So down to Public Works. C1, renewal of license of occupation. CAO.
We have a license of occupation. We had a license of occupation on land out in Area H, Mr. Chair, and it was to divert water from Shinish Creek into Chain Lake. And that 30-year license of occupation has expired, and we need to resubmit an application in order to obtain that license of occupation again. So we're proposing that the regional district submit the application for the 30-year term for Shinish Creek diversion.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Director Bob Coyne.
Yeah, I'd like to make that administrative recommendation, please.
Okay, moved. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Any discussion on this? Director Coyne, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just a question. Does this mean we have to go back to square one with all the referrals and all that stuff, Bill?
CAO?
Sorry, with all of the deferrals?
No, referrals and all that stuff? Is this going to be like a 2-year process, like a normal license?
Oh, no. This is just sort of a housekeeping process for them. They've already got it. We just have to renew it.
Good.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, I will call the question. This is a corporate vote. So all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Down to D2 is no items from the consent agenda there. So we're straight to CAO reports. CAO. Did I miss D1?
Did we have?
Oh, I did. I did miss one. I did. D1, Town of Oliver security issuing. CAO.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So in the province of British Columbia, local governments borrow money through regional districts through the Municipal Finance Authority. So this is the town of Oliver that wants to buy a pumper truck, and they want to borrow $400,000. And we are recommending this be forwarded, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Director Johansson.
Thank you, Chair. I'll make the administrative.
Moved. Is there a seconder for this? Thank you. Lots of seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no hands up, we'll again call the question on a corporate vote. All those in favor? Great, thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're down to the CAO reports. CAO.
No, nothing new from me, Mr. Chair. Just hoping to still make it home by next Tuesday. We'll see what happens with the border crossings.
All right. Well, we wish you luck and hope you get it back here. Down to Chair's report. Actually, nothing from me at this point in time. I believe we're going to have some updates with regards to protocols in the future here. There may have been some changes in regards to what we can do here at the board table. So we'll look into that and get back to everybody if anything changes. Director's motions. Is there any motions from directors? Seeing no hands there. Verbal updates. Any verbal updates from directors? Director Obrick, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And I just wanted to say thank you to Daniel and Haley and Adam and everybody on this eScribe. I really like the new system, having jumped around today on my computer. I like it. I've got a lot to learn, but I'm sucking up because I want more help. Thank you.
I think we may all need a little bit of that along the way, but if it's working well, I think we'll get used to it. So, any other verbal updates from members? Please, Director Kozakovich, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Many of you have probably seen online, last Friday night, we had an exceptional winter market in Naramata, and we have tomorrow night as well. So it's 2 nights, so between 5 and 8. It was a huge success, lots of outdoor vendors along the streets, arts, crafts, food, wine tasting, and the Heritage Inn is open as well. And I tried to go there and it was too busy and I couldn't get in. So
wow.
Another opportunity tomorrow night if folks would like to come out there. Thank you.
Great for that. Any other updates? Director Bush, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of things. I've heard the water levels are receding a little bit on the river. And the other thing is Kermis has a Santa parade on Saturday. Saturday, I think.
Okay.
Manfred can correct me if I'm wrong. And I think they're having turkey curling, frozen turkey curling at the ice rink.
Wow. Well, that sounds interesting. Maybe. Any other verbal updates? Director Bob Coyne, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I see Spencer's gone again, so I'll kind of try and give a little bit of a synopsis. I think he's had about 4 hours sleep in the last week, but so I don't know why he's off here. But anyways, things are slowly settling down a little bit today. The river's down to about the 6-foot mark. It starts to flood shortly above that. Highway 3 East is still closed. The Similkameen River below town is kind of behaving except out at about 12 kilometer. It's found a new route, which is part of it is across Highway 3. Just got off the phone with Jody in Tulameen, and the Tulameen is now nowhere near where it used to be. It's totally different water course up there now. A lot of homes last night got reflooded again through seepage water. It came back up and got into people's homes. Yeah, you don't dare ask anybody in the upper Similkameen how they're doing. You just say hi, because the stress levels that people are living with right now are absolutely kind of unbearable for a lot of folks. So we're just thankful for the amazing amount of volunteers, people coming from different places to help, and yeah, it's been a very, very difficult 3 weeks. It'll be 3 weeks on Sunday, and Tulameen's had 4 separate events in this time frame. So their community it's a doggone mess. The town still looks like we don't have paved roads in Princeton anymore, because all of the traffic trucks that are trying to rebuild dikes, which they successfully got built high enough and strong enough to withstand last night's flood, because it was up over the 8 feet mark at about 10 o'clock. I don't know what happened after that. And yeah, 12 feet is the Brown Bridge in town. So it was darn scary last night. Yeah, so we're surviving out here, but I'm listening to you talk about Santa Claus parades down the valley and winter fairs. Well, ours are all kind of put on hold. We were supposed to have our big Christmas craft fair on the 28th. Well, guess what? We had a storm instead. So it's kind of sucks to be here in a way, but it's also absolutely amazing the community spirit. And I was out sandbagging the other day, and you know, I can't do sandbagging very well anymore, so I sit in a chair and hold the sandbags while somebody else fills it, which actually works really, really well. And then you just have a young guy packing them away. But I had a 73-year-old and a 66-year-old filling the bags while I was sitting there holding them. So it's the whole community out there, and it's been a overwhelming, to say the least, of what's going on here. And emotions are running pretty thin. The filters are kind of broken. So yeah, anyways, we're slugging away at it and doing the best we can. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the update. Our thoughts and prayers are with you guys out there. You have a resilient community, and I'm sure you'll get through it. So, any further updates from the board? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded. All those in favor of adjournment? Great. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Oops.
We made it.